My parents paid for my sister's college but not mine. At graduation, their faces went pale when. Growing up, I always knew one truth, even if no one ever said it out loud. My sister was the priority. I was the afterthought. When she got accepted into college, my parents celebrated like she'd won the lottery. They paid her tuition in full. Bought her a car. Covered her rent, books, even her weekend trips. They called it supporting her future. When it was my turn, they told me, "You'll figure it out. You're stronger. We can't afford 2 educations." So I did figure it out. I worked night shifts while attending classes during the day. I took loans I knew would follow me for years. I skipped meals, skipped parties, skipped sleep. Every semester felt like survival. But I never complained, because complaining never changed anything in my family. Still, a small part of me hoped. I thought maybe, just maybe, graduation day would be different. The ceremony was crowded and loud, but I spotted my parents immediately, sitting together, smiling proudly. My sister was between them, dressed better than anyone else, taking pictures like she was the one graduating. When my name was called, I walked across the stage, accepted my degree, and looked straight at them. They clapped. Politely. Afterward, everyone gathered outside for photos. Friends hugged me. Professors congratulated me. Then my mom pulled me aside and said, almost casually, "So, what's your plan now? Because those loans are your responsibility." "No, we're proud of you." "No, you did amazing." "Just money." I nodded. "I've already accepted a job." Dad raised an eyebrow. "Doing what?" I smiled. "I'll explain in a bit." My sister laughed. "As long as you can finally pay your own bills, right?" Everyone laughed with her. I didn't. They didn't know that for the past 2 years, while juggling school and work, I'd been building something quietly. Something I never told them about, because in my family, information was power, and I had never been allowed any. We moved to the reception area where parents were giving speeches. My sister kept reminding everyone how hard college was for her. My parents nodded proudly. Then the announcer called my name again. "Before we wrap up," he said, "we have a special recognition for one of today's graduates." My parents straightened up, surprised. The dean smiled and looked directly at me. This student not only graduated with honors, but also funded their education independently while working full-time. A pause. "And, they've just been offered a position with one of our top partner firms." I stepped forward. That's when my parents' smiles froze. Because suddenly, everyone was clapping, not for my sister, but for me. And in that moment, they realized something that made their faces go pale. They hadn't invested in the wrong child. They had underestimated the right one. And this was only the beginning. The applause felt unreal. I stood there smiling politely while my parents and sister looked like the ground had shifted under their feet. After the ceremony, my mom pulled me aside so quickly she almost tripped over her heels. "What was that about?" she whispered sharply. "Why didn't you tell us?" I kept my voice calm. "You never asked." Dad joined us, his tone suddenly proud, but forced. "Well, congratulations. That firm you mentioned, what's the salary?" There it was. Not pride. Interest. I told him the number. His eyes widened. My sister scoffed. "Must be exaggerated. Companies love to hype offers." I didn't argue. I had learned long ago that defending myself in that family only fed their denial. During the reception, relatives surrounded me with congratulations. People I'd barely spoken to suddenly wanted details, my job, my plans, my future. My parents stayed close, nodding along like they'd supported me every step of the way. That hurt more than their earlier neglect. Later, as we sat down to eat, my mom cleared her throat. "You know," she said loudly, "we always believed you'd do well. We just wanted you to be independent." I looked at her. Independence wasn't a lesson. It was the only option you gave me. Silence. My sister slammed her fork down. "So what, now you think you're better than us?" "No," I replied. "I think I'm equal. And that seems to bother you." Her face flushed red. That's when Dad leaned in, lowering his voice. "Your sister is thinking of going back to school. Tuition is expensive these days." I stared at him, stunned. "You want me to pay?" "Well," Mom added quickly, "you're earning well now. And family helps family." For a moment, the years of exhaustion flooded back, late nights, unpaid internships, the loans that still sat on my chest like a weight. I put my fork down carefully. "You paid for her education," I said. "You didn't pay for mine." Dad frowned. "That was different." "How?" I asked. No one answered. That night, my sister cornered me near the parking lot. "You owe us," she hissed. "If you don't help, don't expect us to support you anymore." I met her eyes, steady and calm. "I survived without your support before," I said. "I'll survive again." She laughed nervously, but there was fear in it now. Because for the first time, they realized I wasn't asking for approval anymore. I was setting boundaries. And they didn't like losing control. But the real shock? It hadn't even happened yet. The next morning, my phone started ringing before I was even fully awake. Mom. Dad. Then my sister. I didn't answer. By noon, the messages began piling up. "We need to talk. You misunderstood us. Family shouldn't keep score." I read them calmly, something I never could have done before. Graduation had changed more than just my title, it had changed my position in their lives. That evening, I agreed to meet them at a cafe. Neutral ground. No shouting. No guilt tactics behind closed doors. Dad got straight to the point. "We're proud of you. Truly. But your sister is struggling, and you're in a position to help." I took a slow breath. I helped myself when no one else did. Mom reached for my hand. "We did the best we could." "No," I said gently, pulling my hand back. "You did the best you wanted to." My sister crossed her arms. "So you're really going to turn your back on us?" I shook my head. "I'm not turning my back. I'm stepping forward." I explained everything, the loans, the nights I slept in my car between shifts, the fear of failing with no safety net. My parents listened, but I could see it now, regret mixed with discomfort. Owning their choices meant facing them. "I won't pay for her education," I said calmly. "I won't carry responsibility that was never mine." Mom's eyes filled with tears. Dad looked down at the table. Finally, my sister scoffed. "You think a job makes you important?" I smiled, not arrogantly, but peacefully. "No. Surviving without favoritism did." I stood up, placed cash on the table, and picked up my coat. "I love you," I said. "But love doesn't mean self-sacrifice without respect." As I walked out, I felt lighter than I ever had. A week later, I signed the lease on my own place, small, quiet, mine. My first paycheck hit my account the same day. I paid down my loans and booked a short trip I'd always postponed. That night, I framed my diploma and hung it where I'd see it every morning. Not as proof to them, but as a reminder to myself. They paid for my sister's education. I paid for mine. And somehow, that made all the difference. I didn't lose my family. I finally gained myself.